Wow, did you see that? The guy literally jumped up and flipped his body in the air while killing the ball into the ground with his feet. And he even managed to land onto the ground safely without any injury or incident. Play goes on, apparently. But what is this sport that calls for these athletic and flexible individuals to perform these gravity-defying athletic moves? The game is called Sepak Takraw. Before diving deep into what Sepak Takraw really is, let me first walk you through the objectives and overview of this report. On the completion of this presentation, the learners will be able to first, define Sepak Takraw. Next, learn about the history of the sport. Then, know the terminologies and the player roles. Understand how to play the game. Be made aware of the scoring and the fouls in Sepak Takraw. Learn about the court layout, the equipments and values needed in this sport. And lastly, to familiarize themselves with the basic skills involved in Sepak Takraw, alongside a demonstration video coming from our group. Etymologically speaking, the word Sepak Takraw has its roots or origin both in the countries of Thailand and Malaysia. In actual fact, the word sepak means kick in Malay, whereas the word takraw means woven rattan ball or simply rattan ball in Thai. Sepak Takraw then, when combined, means to kick a ball, or more specifically, to kick a rattan ball. Sepak Takraw is sometimes called kick volleyball for the obvious reason that it is somewhat a cross between soccer and volleyball. Moving on to the brief definition of this sport, Sepak Takraw, also known as kick volleyball, is a sport that is native to us Southeast Asians. So if you've seen the previous SEA Games or Southeast Asian game competitions, you've probably, catch or caught a glimpse of players playing a Sepak Takraw. This sport originated in Malaysia and is actually the national sport of that country. As I've mentioned before, Sepak Takraw utilizes or uses a rattan ball as its playing equipment. Apart from that, the rules and maneuvers used in this game are similar to those used in volleyball, except the hands and the arms may not touch the ball. It is only limited to the use of feet, the knees, and the head. Now let's hop into the prerequisites of Sepak Takraw. So if you guys don't know, prerequisite basically means the necessary conditioning or must-haves that an aspiring Sepak Takraw player must consider if they want to play this sport professionally. So let's get into it. Sepak Takraw players have to go through extremely hard preparation in order to excel in this game, in this sport. Players need to have, first, a good foot-eye coordination, second, great acrobatic skills, since they will be doing a lot of kicking, and lastly, an extremely good physical fitness in order to play the game properly. Okay, Thailand. Now, you must be wondering, why do we have Thailand here? Well, obviously because Thailand is a Southeast Asian country and Sepak Takraw is really popular there. But fun fact, even though Malaysia is the one who created the game, the sport of Sepak Takraw, Thailand actually has won the most medals for this sport. Sepak Takraw is now a regular sport even in the Asian Games and the Southeast Asian Games, in which Thailand has won the most gold medals.
History of Sepak Takraw. Now that we know what Sepak Takraw is, have you ever wondered when, where, and how Sepak Takraw originated? How it was developed into a game it is now? Which countries contributed to its development? Which countries it became popular on, then and currently? And most importantly, what is Sepak Takraw in our country, the Philippines?
Now let us jump right into the origin and history of Sepak Takraw. So kailan nga ba at saan nagmula ang Sepak Takraw? Sepak Takraw originated in Malaysia around 500 years ago. In the 15th century, it was mostly played by the royal court. Around the 16th century, the game was spread across Indonesia. where people call it Sepak Raga. By 1940, the net version of the game was spread across Southeast Asia and formal rules and regulations were formed for the game. In 1960s, the Malaysian Sepak Raga Federation was founded at Penang, and in 1965 it was included in Southeast Asia Peninsular Games. Speaking of this, did you know that the first official Sepak Takraw competition was held at Swim Club on May 16, 1945 in Penang? During that period, the game used to be called as Sepak Raga Jaring, and slowly the game spread across Southeast Asia. It was then formally named as Sepak Takraw, and in 1965 the Asian Sepak Takraw Federation or ASTAF was founded as governing committee of the sports. And in 1992, as the sport spread and gained a lot of popularity, the International Sepak Takraw Federation or ISTAF was formed as the world governing body of the game.
Just like what my teammate said, Sepak Takraw is a foot volleyball game where players touch as well as handle the ball using only their feet, knee, chest, and head. The rules and regulations of the game are very much similar to that of volleyball. A very popular game around Southeast Asia, the game is played using a rattan or synthetic ball. Since 1990, Sepak Takraw has also been included in Asian Games.
Some of the countries where Sepak Takraw is quite popular or emerging as one of the popular games are Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Korea, Japan, India, Philippines, Brunei, USA, and Pakistan. Even though Sepak Takraw is quite popular in Southeast Asian countries, its popularity is also spreading in other parts of the world, including European as well as American countries. In Los Angeles, there is already a Sepak Takraw community which is familiarizing the game around the country. In Canada also, the game has experienced a widespread popularity.
In the Philippines, the sport is related with a native game called sipa or sipa salama among Muslim Filipinos. It has survived the 3th-century Spanish colonization along with traditional martial arts. It was a Philippine national sport until it was replaced by arnis in 2009. Sepak Takraw is also included in the Philippines elementary and high school curriculum, with it being one of the highlights of the sports events on intramurals or sports festivals. In 2020, Sepak Takraw is one of the sports events in Palarong Pambansa Soxargen Regional Athletic Association or SRAA meet. And that concludes the history of Sepak Takraw.
Here are the sports terminologies used in Sepak Takraw. Regu. This is the term for team. Typically, teams are made up of 3 people or regus. The Sepak Takraw terminologies for the players' positions are based on whether or not that team is serving. Block. This term is self-explanatory. Blocks are performed to prevent the other team from scoring points by preventing the ball from crossing the net. This is done with every part of the body except arms and legs. Spike. Spikes are powerful shots performed by the attacking team. These shots are hard and fast, making them more difficult to block. Roll spike. This move is essentially a backflip kick. Players jump, kick, and land with the same leg while completing a flip mid-air. Soul kick. The soul kick is when a player uses the bottom of their shoe to make contact. Oftenly, the aim is for it to be an unexpected soft touch to take the other team by surprise. However, this kick can also be powerful as well. There are a variety of kicks in Sepak Takraw. There's the inside kick, outside kick, toe kick, knee, header, and etc. Again, the contact rules are just like football or soccer. No arms, no hands. Here are the player roles in Sepak Takraw. Tekong. The server or the tekong of the serving team stands in the serving circle. The tekong is fed the ball by another teammate known as the feeder, the setter, or the tosser. The tekong must kick the ball over the net while keeping one foot on the ground in the serving circle. The feeder, the setter, the tosser, or the bowler. This is the player that stands next to the net to the inside right of the tekong or the server. As the position's many names imply, this player has multiple roles. He tosses the ball to the tekong to begin the match. This player also sets the ball for the attacker, the striker, or the killer to deliver a powerful shot. though this player can perform all actions on the court and is not restricted to set for other players. The attacker, the striker, the killer. This is the player that stands at the net to the inside left of the tackle. The attacker is positioned at either corner of the net in the corner of a half circle. This position is focused on delivering hard shots to the other team. Again, the responsibilities are shared among teammates, but this is the focus of the position.
The very basic rules of the game are as follows. The game starts with a serve. The team that has to serve first is decided by tossing a coin. The winner of the toss can either choose to serve or choose to defend. The side that serves first starts the set. During the serve, the server must have one of his legs inside the service circle, whereas the other players must stay in their respective quarter circles. Either the feeder or the striker first tosses the ball to the server, who then kicks the ball across the net to the opponent's side with no foot in the service circle. Tossing the ball to the server must be done only after the referee announces the score. If the throw takes place before the score call, then the ball is again re-thrown and a warning is given to the team. A serve is called valid if it passes over the net to the opponent's side inside the boundary before the boundary line of the opponent team. Whether it touches the net or not doesn't matter. Once the serve is done, the players are free to move into any part of their respective court. In order to respond to serve, the defending team tries to, again, pass the ball across the net to the opponent's side within 3 touches of the ball. The side that wins the first set has the option of choosing the service. The game continues till one of the team makes a fault. Once a fault is done by a team, the opponent team gets a point. When the ball is not in play, each team is entitled to a tactical timeout of 1 minute during the game. There are no automatic timeouts. During the timeout, maximum 5 players are allowed on the baseline in case of regu matches. In case a player gets injured and needs immediate treatment, the referee can suspend the game temporarily for 5 minutes. If after 5 minutes the player is still unable to play, he can be substituted with another player.
Sepak Takraw scoring system in official regu and doubles regu match. There is more to mastering the sport of Sepak Takraw than simply being skillful. Getting familiarized with the scoring system is essential to winning a Sepak Takraw game. When either serving side or receiving side commits a fault, a point is awarded to the opponent's side, including making next service. Each set is won by the regu, which scores 21 points with a minimum lead of 2 points. In the event of a score of 20-20, the set shall be won by the side which gets a lead of 2 points, or when a side reaches 25 points, whichever occurs first. In such a situation, the referee shall announce, setting up to 25 points.
Each match shall be determined based on a best-of-3 sets format, with 2-minute breaks in between sets. Sets shall be referred to as the first, second, and third. Once a set is over, the teams change their side, and the team which lost the previous set serves first. The regu which wins 2 sets first shall be declared the winner of the match. If each regu wins 1 set, the game shall be decided in the third set called tiebreak with 15 points unless the point is tied at 14-14. Then the set shall be decided on a difference of 2 points, up to a ceiling of 17 points. When the score is tied at 14-14, the referee announces setting up to 17 points. Before the tiebreak set takes place, the referee shall toss a disc or coin and the side winning the toss shall have the option of choosing service. The change of sides takes place when one regu reaches 8 points. In the case of a team event, 3 back-to-back matches are played using different players for each regu. And as for the score sheets, here are the following samples. The score sheet for doubles regu, for the official regu, and for the team event.
Sepak Takraw fouls and faults. The game will continue during a match unless a fault happens. These are the following faults that can happen between the different sides. For the service side during service, here are the following fouls and faults. First is the inside player who is making service throws plays about with the ball, such as throwing up the ball, bumping, giving to other inside player or etc. after the call of the score has been made by the referee. Next is that any of the inside player lifts his or her feet, steps on the lines or center line or crosses over or touches the net while the ball is being thrown for the serve. The tekong jumps off the ground to execute the service or the standing footsteps on the service circle line before and during the service. The tekong does not kick the ball on the service throw. The ball touches his or her own player before crossing over the opponent court. The ball goes over the net but falls outside the court. The ball does not cross to the opponent's side. A player uses his or her hand or hands or any other part of his or her arms to facilitate the execution of a kick, even if the hand or arm does not directly touches the ball, but it touches other objects or surfaces instead when doing so. Lastly is the thrower of the serving regu throws the ball before the referee calls the score for the second or subsequent time during the match. For the serving and receiving side during service, there's only one fault. It is creating distracting manner or noise or shouting at his or her opponent. For both sides during the game, there are a lot of fouls and faults that can happen. The following are: any player who touches the ball on the opponent's side, any part of the player's body crosses over into opponent's court, whether above or under the net, except during the follow-through, playing the ball more than 3 times in succession, the ball touches the arm, stopping or holding the ball under the arm, between the legs or body, any part of the body or player's outfits, e.g. shoes, jersey, headband, etc., touches the net or the post or the referee's chairs or falls into the opponent's side. The ball touches the ceiling, roof or the wall or any objects. Any player who uses the aid of any external object as a form of support to facilitate the execution of a kick. A game will not always go the way as planned and controversies will come along the way. That's why there are also penalties in Sepak Takraw that every player knows in order to maintain the harmony within a game and to ensure that the player act appropriately and a sportsmanship within the game. Players are normally cautioned and being warned by the referees, while in some severe cases they are being sent off. To clarify, here are some of the details.
Here are some of the cases when a player is given a caution and shown the yellow card. First, if the player is showing unsporting behaviors which are against the norms of the sport's ethics. Second, if the player is persistently breaking the laws of the game. Third, if the player is delaying the restart of the game. Fourth, if the player enters or re-enters or deliberately leaves the court without taking referee's permission. Here are some of the cases where a player is sent off and shown the red card. First, if the player is guilty of serious foul play. Second, if the player is guilty of violent conducts by deliberately trying to injure his opponent players. Third, if the player either spits or uses any offensive languages against any of the opponent players. Fourth, if the player gets 2 yellow cards in the same game. When the player gets the first yellow card, normal caution is given to him. In case of getting a second yellow card in the same match, the player is suspended from the next match. Similarly, if a player gets a third yellow card in the same match, he gets suspended for 2 next matches with a fine of $100.
In case of a fourth yellow card in the same match, the player is suspended immediate for the next as well as subsequent matches of that tournament. In case a player gets a red card, he is awarded a send-off from the game, as well as immediate suspension from playing any tournament until a disciplinary committee is convened and a decision is taken. Disciplinary actions are taken against any misconduct or disturbances committed by any team officials in or outside of the court. Similar to players, a team official causing disturbances during the game gets suspended immediately till the disciplinary committee is convened and decisions are taken.
Sepak Takraw can be both an indoor game or an outdoor game. It must be played inside a court. The court of the sport is played similar to a regular badminton double-sized court, with an area of 13.4 by 6.1 meters, free from all obstacles up to the height of 8 meters measured from the floor surface. The width of the lines bounding the court should not be more than 4 centimeters, measured and drawn inwards from the edge of the court measurements. All the boundary lines should be drawn at least 3 meters away from all obstacles. The center line of 2 centimeters should be drawn equally, dividing the right and the left court. At the corner of each at the center line, the quarter circle shall be drawn from the sideline to the center line with a radius of 0.9 meters, measured and drawn outwards from the edge of the 0.9 meters radius. The service circle of 0.3 meters radius shall be drawn on the left and on the right court, the center of which is 2.45 meters from the back line of the court and 3.05 meters from the sidelines. The 0.4 meters line shall be measured and drawn outward from the edge of the 0.3 meters radius.
These are the equipments for Sepak Takraw. First is the ball. The ball is the most essential equipment. It is spherical in shape and has a diameter of 5 inches. Before, it was made of rattan strips, then eventually turned into synthetic fiber. It can be single-colored or multicolored. There are other materials that can be used to make the ball besides the synthetic rubber. That is why it must be approved by the governing committee. The ball for men must have a weight of 170 to 180 grams and has a circumference of 42 to 44 centimeters. The ball for women must have a weight of 150 to 160 grams and a circumference of 42 to 44 centimeters. Second is the net. It is made of ordinary cord or nylon with a 6 to 8 centimeters mesh, usually stronger than a badminton net to create a better impact when the ball hits. It has a 0.7 meters with max length of 6.1 meters. The height of the net in the center of the court must be 1.52 meters for men and 1.42 meters for women. Third is the shoes. Shoes are light and have flat sides with soles. It has good grip for both indoor and outdoor surfaces. It has a sole inside to support the high impact from constant jumping and constant landing. It is also customized for players to have better kicks. Last is the protective gears. Because of the involvement of high jumping, ankle supporting bands are used for protection. Knee tensors are also used to prevent joints and tendon injury. Some players use ankle gears to support their ankle and forehead bandanas to stop the sweat from running into their eyes.
Values in the sport Sepak Takraw. What are sports values? Sports can teach us values such as fairness, team building, equality, discipline, inclusion, perseverance, and respect. Why is it important to learn values? Knowing one's values help you attain or develop a sense of self. This means you can develop strong opinions about important subjects. Sepak Takraw also allows us to attain and develop said values. However, some values may be unique for some sports and some are present in all. Sepak Takraw, from the Malay word sepak, or literally meaning kick, and the Thai word takraw, which means rattan ball, has constantly lingered as one of Asia's best kept treasures. As the awareness of the sport has spread through Southeast Asia, Filipinos had developed our own kind in Sipa. Sepak Takraw had been embraced by the Filipinos as it contributes to further develop our own identity or culture. It is a sport unique to Asians that is played in various forms that represents Filipino culture and values. Sepak Takraw is a valued and treasured physical sport that is distinct to us Asians. It is an affirmation of the strong culture that Asians have developed throughout the centuries. It may take up different names and variations, varying from country to country. The continuous expansion of the sport indicates how much we are glad about the game that our ancestors had passed on to us. Teamwork, fairness, equality, discipline, inclusion, perseverance, and respect are just some of the values present in Sepak Takraw. But it is more than just a sport for us Asians. It also represents our unity in diversity despite our intertwining cultures and beliefs.
Often involving agility, flexibility, and strength, Sepak Takraw is a sport that combines many different kicks, spikes, and serves. These range from basic ones that most beginners would be able to pick up easily to the more acrobatic kinds that require long periods of training and practice to execute flawlessly. But before we delve into the different basic skills in Sepak Takraw, let's perform a simple warm-up so that we don't strain our muscles after. Done warming up? Let's start! Inside kick. An inside kick is the most basic form of kick performed by Sepak Takraw players. It is mostly used to control the ball. To perform this shot, players usually have to stand with their feet apart and then while bending their supporting leg a little. They need to hit the ball in an upward direction using the inside of the other leg. Outside kick. This shot is mostly used as a part of defense in order to propel the ball to move upward. To perform this shot, the player needs to bend his supportive leg a little while he needs to make the contact with the ball using the outside of his playing leg. The knee of the playing leg turns inward and makes a right angle with the leg while performing the shot. Knee or thigh kick. The knee kick is mostly a defensive shot and performed mostly while defending a serve from the opponent's side. Here, the player actually uses the thigh just above the knee. During the shot, the players try to raise his knee as high as possible. Header. Unlike a football header, the header shot in this game is placed using the forehead to hit the ball and make it fly. This shot is mostly performed when the ball height is too much for performing a shot using their legs. This shot is played both as a serving as well as striking shot. Front or toe kick. This is a defensive kick, useful when it comes to saving balls. This kick can be achieved by placing your foot for the ball and depending on the degree, lift your foot with your hip or just let the ball bounce off. Try not to do it with too much force because the ball tends to fly off uncontrollably. Chest receive. Since the chest is the largest surface of the body, it can easily be used to cushion the ball down to the player's feet. Knees should be slightly bent, elbows should be held away from the body, and hands clear of the chest surface. Lean back slightly from the trunk of your body to absorb the pace of the ball. Withdraw the chest immediately as the ball is touched. Strike. A strike refers to jumping on one leg and flipping in the direction that you want your ball to move, all while remaining airborne. Using the other foot, kick the ball over your opposite shoulder. You should perform the entire spike while still in the air, only landing after you have made contact with the ball. And that's all. Thank you!
In order for us to appreciate the beauty of the sport Sepak Takraw, we prepared some of the best plays and outstanding players of the sport. Here is a sample game we prepared in order for us to better understand and experience the sport Sepak Takraw. As you can see, it is a game between our very own country's Sepak Takraw team versus the Sepak Takraw team of the country Malaysia. This game is part of a tournament called ISTAF Super Series. This happened in the year 2015, headed by ISTAF or International Sepak Takraw Federation. As you can see, the main use of outside kick is for blocking. Using outside kick for blocking instead of the body would give more leeway for the player to follow up the block the player made. For instance, using body for blocking would restrict the player from follow-up, especially when the ball would go outside.
Good strong serve, just under 60 kilometers an hour here from Philippines.
The one in the middle represents the tekong, or as what we're familiar with, the server of the team. The one who sets up the ball to a teammate or attacker is the feeder, or in common term, the setter of the team. The last one in the team is the attacker or striker, whose main role is to score.
People good. Service ace, Shahir on the money.
Great.
Spin serve. Wonderful from Gaberon.
Finishes this ball so short to court. Nada, hands down, one of the best feeders in the world.
Karo Zaman. Brilliant. Tackle, ladies and gentlemen.
If you're wondering why the setter got to touch the ball and the game still continues, it is because, unlike volleyball, in Sepak Takraw, a player can touch the ball thrice. A player can get all the touches given for the team in every possession.
A little bit of the pace off at 62 kilometers an hour.
Fantastic angle. This is where height is so important for a tackle. You can see backs off for power. Because he... Keep your eye on Wet Day in the background, number one for Philippines. He's forever stalking the opposition, spiking from there for any opportunity.
Save and set. Malaysia responding. It's a save or two save!
Fantastic breakdown of play by the Philippines upwards. And Jason Huete, look how quickly he reacted to this. Just the one touch. Get the ball up for a two step. What a finish. He is pumped, he is loving this.
Huete sets for Brady. It's out. He's pulled it too far. Consternation
from up high.
Pretty adjacent, wasn't it?
Tell you what, that was a tough call.
Delicately done. First time we've seen the
Just place behind the block of Tyrone.
low down or two stay is distraught. Serve. Communication. Fine spike. He's a He's chasing, he wasn't. Kairos a man! Super stuff.
Incredible! Kairos a man! That left foot save and set, right foot spike.
Philippines are asking major questions. Tuesday. Inside of the court. The serve comes in, the save, a set and a spike. Comes off the top of the tape. Slightest deviation.
What's that here? Ball serve. Keep serving.
Big serve, 64 kilometers an hour. Aaron says, anything you can do, I can do better.
Equally effective.
Man, forehand. The diminutive forehand.
More service units in place with so much pressure on Malaysia. See Carlos Aman fourth.
Tuesday, mid-court.
Loving this, the Filipino side. Jason did really well to keep that ball in play, and Ray J, big finish.
Arrows a man. Duarte, what a save. Or Tuesday, what a point.
Jason Duarte, what a save. Wow, he is loving this, he is pumped. And has got to be, saved the tournament so far. The save, the set all the way from the boards.
Of the Philippines, they're the only ones keeping their cool, I promise you. Forehand. Carroll's a man. That's good. Saved. Service. So long. The set has gone to the Philippines. They've taken it 21 points to 14.
Raced away with it.
The landing stage for the first set. Over the net. They're difficult to deal with. And there, I feel, is the difference. Trading 1 set to love in the second set. Big serve, Fuerte. Reje. Too long. green. Iro's a man. Is the man.
Iro places his ball away, slots it through the block, and all three rejoice. Look at
Iro's a man. 45-degree angle.
Hefton spiking these balls at all sorts of acute angles. But this one, you get much more acute than that. Finishes the ball under the block in front of Jason Huerta. Nothing.
Scrambles. Tuesday. Cross court.
Play that by the Malaysians doing nothing wrong here, but another fantastic save from Huerta. Be everywhere on court. That's Jason Huerta.
Spike on the post.
Two service winners from two. Consistency from the Philippines so far.
Little touch. Save, forehand set. The Tiger from Carol Zaman.
He applies his scoring himself. Somehow gets the ball outside Jason Huerta.
Tuesday. Now then, Malaysia dominant.
It's on Kara Zaman. Sends the play up with a great block. Ahan Adam. Quick feed. He was so quickly up off the deck. And ready to go at a moment. Let's give Gamelon a bit of a rest. Fresh fun.
Set. Carol Zaman. Tuesday, so delicate. Good time. Some back. Come on. Is there anything that
Keeps the play alive. Credit to Kara Zaman though. Really turning up the wing now.
we're on fires running at 63 kilometers an hour to beautifully angled. What a way to finish it. Okay, game on. Final. I think this stuff's super serious back off the top. So they're global. It's dropped dramatically for the Philippines. Mike Willis at 6-2. The ball. Harold. Substitution not yet. Does the team come in or second?
Jason Huerte, well, they might be in for their fight of their lives, but Huerte keeps saying it, but they just love playing competitive Sepak Takraw.
See, I've tried several. Do not stop that. With authority.
Feeding over to one side, Kairos starting back at the next point here. Feeding over to the other, allowing Kairos the offense.
Spin serve. Third ace. Backward step.
Blocking the ball, can touch any part of the body except for the head or the arm. Looks clean from there.
Butter serving. Taking. To stay.
His face is taken off. Spike from Tuesday was so high, so heavy.
Head as well. Tuesday. The 6-point gap is now just 4. Serves the gap. Perfect tackle. Scott.
They're out of hibernation. Shahir serving well. Fahan needs a pinpoint. Kairos Ahmad.
Huerte. Oh, you're kidding me. Huerte's rescue on Tuesday smash.
Every point. Huerte gave himself a lot of work to do, but wow. What an effort. Now he's the lead. Trailing Malaysia by 6 points now, but they're still loving this. Raw emotion. Philippines side. Great to see.
7th spike winner. Keeping alive. Tuesday.
Cheeky, touch on Tuesday.
If they keep playing with this spirit, this is beyond them. It is 5 points. But they sit very much in the driving seat. Oh, what a set from Farhan Adan. Over the shoulder.
And avoid the post. Touching any part of the post for the referees. Yeah, that'll be a foul.
back spike. Point Malaysia for Tuesday's effort. Farhan. Carol's a man! Malaysia get the victory. They've had to work exceptionally hard though, Alex Newman.
Have indeed. A deserved victory though. And it only seems fitting that it comes off a fantastic speed from Farhan Adam. The flick of the heel, the outside of the push to set up Khairul Zaman. Here's the feed. Here's the crushing blow from Khairul Zaman. Think about Malaysia. That was a hard-fought match.
Well, all the messages beforehand, all those in the know thought that Malaysia would find it really tough against the Philippines, but they've been proven right. Malaysia have shown their mettle. They want to set down, and they've got the result. They will face either Japan or Thailand in the final on Sunday. The Philippines will go into a bronze medal match. Celebrations for Malaysia. Gosh, they worked hard.
Well, they had to. Philippines, they really